Yes, I did a
Like so.
recommendation.
This meeting will now come to order. This is the Laverne Board of Zoning Appeals meeting, June 27, 2017, regular meeting, 5:30 p.m. I call the meeting to order, determine we have a quorum, which we do, and have all members had a chance to read the minutes of the last meeting.
I have.
I'll entertain a motion to accept the minutes as presented.
I'll make a motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
It's approved as presented. The first item after that is we have some old business. The old business is a variance to allow accessory structure encroachment in a side yard requested by Rick and Ruth Young. You may absent yourself now, if you will.
For the record, I would like to recuse myself since it has a direct and negative impact on my home and my value of home.
The property located at 429 Randall Lane, R2 West Medium Density Residential Grandfather Zoning District, property owned by Rick and Ruth Young. This is a continuance from the last meeting that we had. The first thing I would like to do, I would like to ask both parties to step forward to the podium, please. Good evening. First of all, I'd like to explain to you, since this is a continuance, that I'll explain to you that you are still under oath from the previous meeting. And the big question I have is, as we closed the meeting last month, we asked that if you would get together and see if you could come to the meeting of the minds. Have you done that? No. Have you tried to do that? No. Okay. So there has been no agreement between you during the time period from last month until tonight, is that right?
That's right, sir.
Okay. You may be seated. Thank you. At this point, I'm going to explain what the process is that we're going to do tonight. We're going to have each party step up individual to the podium, and you'll be given an opportunity to present any new material that was not presented last month. New material will be any documentation you have, any pictures, photos, maps. You'll also make a statement. You will have 3 minutes to do that. At the end of 3 minutes, we'll notify you that your time is up. Each party will have that allotted amount of time to do that. After you've had that opportunity, then we will have an open meeting for the purpose, in case there's anybody else in the room here that would like to have a few comments about the situation, and they will be given time to speak, and they also will be given a maximum of 3 minutes to speak. After that, I will close the open meeting, and the board members, consisting of the three of us, will have a discussion among the three of us about the motion that's upon us. After we have that discussion, hopefully we'll take time to make a motion to either approve or deny the petition, and we'll vote on it, and that will be the case. Any questions?
No, sir.
Okay.
I have a question. Will, out of our 3 minutes that we have to speak about something so important that affects us, will we have time to hand out new material to the board members, or does that count as our 3 minutes?
You'll have 3 minutes to bring out any new material, any new photographs, and speak. Because we're only talking about new material in addition to what you had last time. Now, let me mention, not only for both parties concerned, but for other people that may be here that are interested in this situation. We heard a lot of information about this situation last month at the meeting that had absolutely no bearing whatsoever on the situation at hand. We heard a lot of things about personalities involved. We heard about swimming pool. We heard about water. We heard about runoff. We heard about fences. We heard about other people that might have the same situation in the neighborhood. All that has nothing to do with the situation that we're addressing tonight. All we're addressing tonight is the buildings in your property. That is all that we're addressing tonight because that's what the petition is about. All we can address is what's in the petition that has been brought before us tonight, okay? Okay. Since you brought the petition, you may go first. If you'll step up to the podium and you have 3 minutes to bring out anything new that you would like to bring out.
No, sir, at this time, I don't have anything new. I brought forward everything I had at the last meeting.
At the last meeting?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
That pretty much sums it up. We presented our situation. We presented what we thought was the impact of a complaint that was made on buildings that were such an age and having been there for so long with no impact at all, and presented it, and that's our position.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Reset the clock.
Yep, I'm ready.
I'll talk really fast because of all the accusations. I've dug up extra material for you guys to look at. One, I want you to give back to me. It's my pool permit. The others are pictures of the measurements with a measuring tape in the picture from the shed to my fence. May I approach the board?
Yes.
Thank you.
Share this. This is the
Okay.
pool permit. The city has found their copies.
Okay.
These are pictures with the measuring tape showing how close that is to my fence. And it's between 13 to 19 and 22 inches, which is nowhere near 10 feet.
So before you have my copy of the pool permit, you see pictures of my fence that's in bad shape. It's 22 years old. I was wanting to replace it, but can't because the two sheds are there. The measuring tape shows that it's between 13 to 17 and 22 inches away from the very edge of the shed to my fence, which is clearly nowhere near 10 feet, which it's supposed to be 10 feet, not from my fence, but 10 feet from my property line, which I find that my fence is now inside my property line. So it's even worse. It may even be on my property line, parts of the shed. So if you would take a look at the pictures that I provided, you will also see the rot. You will see the beautiful vegetation that I grow in different parts of my fence, such as grapevines, ground cover called Dinka minor, and yucca plants. They're low-maintenance plants, and they also provide grapes for me and my birds that visit my house. I don't grow just weeds. They're real plants. You'll see in the second picture where one side of my yard is all beautiful and the views are beautiful. You'll see the other side where in the old pictures that I gave you last month where I've got a view of it looks like shantytown with two 32 feet long buildings running down my whole side yard. And as a real estate agent for 22 years, my professional opinion and all my knowledge in working with appraisers and working with buyers, this will take several $1,000s off of my house when I go to sell it. It will hurt me. Buyers look at things like that. I want you to consider what is in the book. Personalities aside, we have certain reasons why we grant variances, and those reasons are listed in the book. A shallow lot, a steep lot, an irregularly shaped extra narrow lot. This doesn't meet any of those requirements. I was able to put a 24-foot pool and 3 decks in my backyard and still am within the setback lines on all sides. So please don't punish me because 2 people want to put 2 huge
Thank you. Your 3
sheds
minutes is up.
right next to me to hurt me.
Okay, thank you. The main situation here. Oh, yes, yes, yes.
It's right
Yes,
here,
you may.
yes.
You may have these pictures back too if you like.
Oh, no, Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Is there anybody here that would like to be heard on this matter?
Sir, I think this needs to be part of the record in case it has to go further.
Okay.
that I had given you this.
Anybody here that wants to be heard? There being none, that will continue with the discussion among the board members. Okay. The situation at hand here is that the only thing that we can go on is, the only question is the buildings. The rule says there is a setback. There has been no documentation whatsoever presented to show that it's been
Mr. Chairman, if I could just interject, just so we're at open meeting, there's not really any microphone, so if you could speak up for the discussion so that the
Sure.
record's clear, that would be very helpful for the public.
Thank you.
Yep.
What I'm saying here is that in discussing this case, and of course this is just my part of the discussion, the board members obviously can interject their ideas also. But as I see it here, the only thing that we have to discuss is the buildings. The question is the buildings and the setback. The buildings are in violation of the setback. There has been nothing to show that the buildings are grandfathered in. There was material brought at first to show that there was a belief that they were grandfathered in. As it turned out, they are not grandfathered in. And there was also discussion about there was some kind of an agreement when they bought the house that they could be by the fence there, but there was no real documentation, official documentation filed with the city or anything to show that. So there is no documentation here to show that there's any kind of approval to be in violation of the buildings, of the setback. So I don't see any other conclusion that we can come to other than the buildings are in violation of the setback.
If we do this, we'll have to take everybody in the city of Laverne that set theirs back.
We can't address that because the only thing that we have at our hands right now is just this one petition. If that comes up later on, that will have to be addressed at that time for that particular petition.
So even if the homeowners bought property the way this is existing, I mean, this isn't a new issue.
No, sir, they were not there when I bought the house in 2000.
Thought that based on the information, they were like 95, and it seems like they've been there for a long time.
Even if the houses were there at the time, they're not grandfathered in. So they're in violation.
Okay.
So they're not they're in violation. So the only thing I can see, and you know, I
Want to
can
speak up?
I can see where it would be a hardship for the people that live there now, and it may be an adverse situation for other people in the community, but our hands are on this particular situation only, and we have our appeals book that we have to go by, and there are provisions in the appeals book that we could approve a waiver on it, but none of the guidelines are met. So I would say we need to deny the petition. Are you all in agreement?
Just give me a minute here.
Okay.
Did this come before the planning commission instead of us?
No, this doesn't go before the planning commission.
They wouldn't make the rules.
Yes?
Could I ask her a question?
Sure.
If I could interject, there was a motion and it wasn't seconded, so you can either table the motion for further discussion, or you can retract your motion right now. But if you'd like to have further discussion on your motion to deny the variance,
What was the motion?
I believe your motion, or I'm not sure if you made a formal motion, but you recommended denial of it, so I'm not sure if you've made a motion.
I didn't make a motion. I
Okay.
just suggested that it was applicable to, I mean, it seemed to me that that would be time to make the motion, but I didn't make the motion.
So there's no motion on the table, so
No.
further discussion can be had.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
The drainage from your house, does it run towards their house?
Sir, I had my home inspected when I bought it,
I'm not
and
asking that, I'm just asking you a question.
it runs away from my house as it's supposed
Towards
to be.
their house, I know you're on a hill like this, right?
On all corners of my house, my drainage runs out and away from my foundation, on all four corners.
I know that, but is it running towards their business, building?
No, it more runs towards my front yard, which the yards start to slant ever so slightly. What isn't absorbed by the water from my drainage, from my legal gutter system, it will absorb in the ground, and any runoff in heavy rains may run towards their yard.
Okay, that's
But
all.
it does that on every house in every city.
Okay. I'd like to table it myself.
No, so I just want to make sure I understand. So those units, this is a question for the Youngs. Those units were put up in 2001, the oldest one? Is that correct? Okay. I don't have any other questions.
Okay.
And if I may interject as well, again, Chairman, just so that the board is clear, the applicant has applied for a variance, not necessarily an appeal for the determination of whether they are or not in violation of the setback ordinance.
Right.
So the determination before this board is whether their parcel of land presents a unique scenario in terms of its topography or its narrowness, or some exceptional nature of their lot that would allow their accessory buildings to be inside the setback.
Okay. Understand. And it does not.
It does not, so I'm in agreement with your thinking.
The petition?
Yep, we would have to deny the petition.
All we denying is the grandfather, right?
No, we're
No.
denying the request for a variance.
Oh, it's a grandfather. Oh, okay.
No.
I will make I will say that it needs to be a denial of the variance.
And I would second that.
Mr. Chairman, because there has been a motion by you for denial of the variance and a second by Mr. Pollock, if you could please, for the record, state your basis for the denial of the variance so that it's clear, and then the members can go ahead and take a vote by voice vote on the motion.
Okay. My statement for that is because it does not meet the requirements of the zoning requirements. There are certain situations that the manual presents that by which variance could be approved, but your situation doesn't have any of those. For example, a very steep slope or something to that effect, or other situations. It does not meet any of those. So there's no basis by which we could grant a variance for that. So therefore, I would have to say that it has to be, the variance would have to be denied. And it has been seconded. We'll take a vote. Mr. Goodwin?
Aye.
And I say aye. It's unanimous. So the petition for the variance is denied. Therefore, we'll go on to the next item of business. Counselor, thanks for your help on that.
You're welcome.
The next item of business is new business. Appeal of the decision of the city planner in regards to the qualified home business status at 315 David's Way, requested by Ludina Beckwith. Property located at 315 David's Way, R2 medium density residential zoning district, parcel owned by Kevin Beckwith. May we have the report, please?
Chairman, members of the board, this was an appeal of the decision of our building inspector and/or enforcement officer for a home-based business. I guess Ms. Beckwith presented to our codes enforcer that she wanted to have a home-based business that was, I think she called it a princess parties. It's where girls may go and they'll get dressed up as princess and makeup, and so after discussion, we felt that parking would be an issue. There is, let me see here. You can see the driveway for 315 David's Way. So if you had 5 or 6 girls, each one a different car, they would be parking on the street, and therefore we felt it was not compatible with the neighborhood for that type of business. I don't believe the Beckwiths are here unless they're outside. I haven't seen them yet.
There are some people outside in the lobby. I don't know if it's the other board or.
I think some of them were here for the next meeting.
Nobody inside here, Beckwith?
Dan,
Nobody?
Did the blonde lady?
Yep, that's my wife. Blonde hair.
Since they are not here, I'm going to table that until next month.
Okay.
What if they didn't show?
Well, I'm going to just table it
Okay.
until next month. And if they're not here next month, it will be denied,
Okay.
just by basis of absenteeism. Okay.
It's- dang, it's okay.
And there is no other business than that. We stand adjourned.